Inside the mountain I see fire, burning the trees and I see fire, hollow souls I see fire, burning the breeze.
Hello everyone and welcome back to War Thunder. This is a new series that I'm hoping to start called Arcade Battles Insight. Let's face it, Arcade Battles receives the most mockery in the entire game, yet it's host to the biggest player base. Oddly enough, there are no YouTubers as far as I'm aware, nor are there any guides out there that focus on arcade. So naturally, I'm here to fill that void. But quickly, I've reached level 100 with almost 2 years of this game under my belt, and I average 7.6 kills per game. In this series, I'll be taking a look at individual planes, series of planes, and overall tiers to stack them up against your other likely competitors in battle. So, take this as an educational resource that is relevant to the patch that I have uploaded this video for. If anything changes in the future, please let me know, and chances are I'll make an update video. I'm starting the series off with the first faction I fell in love with back in the day, the British, and naturally with a low tier plane, the reserves, the Fury, Mark 1 and 2. The thing that you have to realize about reserve planes is that pretty much all of them are watered down so that they're quite comparative to each other, with the exception of one or two here and there. The Fury Mark 1 and 2 are quite middle of the ground planes. They actually are quite average when it comes to their flight characteristics and also their fighting capability. When compared to each other, the Fury Mark II has a better engine and a larger fuel capacity than the Fury Mark 1. But theoretically, because of a larger fuel capacity, the Fury Mark II is actually a slower plane than the Fury Mark 1, that is, at larger fuel capacity. However, these differences are so marginal that there's hardly any difference between them, and so you should treat them near enough the same. Stacked up against your competitors, you're going to be fighting against reserve planes and tier 1 planes. Try to focus down those reserve planes and stay away from those tier 1 planes, because shooting down reserve planes is going to be a whole lot easier than tier 1 planes. And also tier 1 planes have a more formidable firepower usually. Say for example, the Russians, the Lags with their 20mm cannon, that will tear apart a biplane very quickly. When up against other reserve planes, treat them near enough like your own, and that's with flight characteristics. But there's some exceptions to that rule. For example, if you take a look at the pea shooter M2, it has a 12.7mm Browning machine gun, which is very powerful for a reserve plane. Try to stay away from this if you're on the receiving end of its bullet fire. Try to get around it. The pea shooters are actually quite slow when it comes to turn time and also their rate of climb. You should be able to get around them. The other exception to the rule is the I-15. They have 4 machine guns compared to your 2, and also their turn time is ridiculously good. Try not to get into a turn battle against these things. So keep a mind of those 2 exceptions. Everything else you should be fine against. Now onto a subject that I'm really curious about, and I'm sure you guys are as well. What ammo belt should you use? I set up an experiment where for that entire round, I used one particular ammo belt. And what I used for this first one was the default ammo belt, and that is comprised of a mixture of ammos, including armor piercing, incendiary, tracer, ball. What I found about this ammo belt was that it was quite middle ground compared to the others. The tracer inside of it is quite nice, that you can see where you're shooting. However, the tracer and ball are the least damaging components of that ammo belt. And what I found was that I wasn't doing a lot of damage from quite far distance, but that can be expected with the low caliber machine gun. The thing is, most of the kills that I was making with this was close range, and every now and then I would score a pilot shot. When it came to taking out armored cars, I was doing very little damage, and so I would not recommend focusing on ground vehicles with this thing. The next ammo belt was Omni-Purpose, which unlike the default ammo belt, does not have a ball component. What I found with this ammo belt was that it was quite middle ground in terms of damage. However, what I noticed was pretty much over half the planes I was shooting at, I was managing to set on fire. The only thing that I could really explain this down to was possibly due to the combination of the armor piercing and then the incendiary component. The two probably mixed together really well. Pierce them, then set them on fire. It's safe to say that a number of my opponents came to a fiery death. The Tracer belt was the worst one out of the lot, and it's no surprise considering that over 3/4 of the belt is Tracer rounds. There's hardly any damage in there. Not only did I suffer making damage from a long distance, but also even close up. It was difficult to shoot down planes, and it's not the fact that I couldn't shoot down planes, I mean I could, it was just that it was really annoying how long it took to actually shoot somebody down. Perhaps I'm a bit biased because I almost always use stealth ammo in planes, but for the Fury I really found that this was the best belt to use. It has the most damaging components within it, and it's just easier to kill planes. A lot of times I would finish them off very quickly, but not only reserves, also tier 1s. It gave me a fighting chance to take them down. And there we have it, a quick rundown of the Fury Mark 1 and Mark 2. Sitting at reserve tier with no bomb attachments and a high ammo capacity of 1,200 bullets, it's an average plane that has no significant pros or cons. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave a like and any feedback. Thanks for sticking around, and I'll see you in the next video.